Hello and welcome to the Saturday edition of Incrediweek. This is the last day of the Incrediweek before we start up again on Monday with another full week of streams. Today we got a virtual tour to Eastside Mags in Montclair, New Jersey, which is the first thing we'll do, and then we're going to move on to a video with Jamie Costley, who's a cartoonist. At 3 o'clock, we're going to be talking with Keith Tucker, a storyboard artist and cartoonist, and at 5 p.m. we're going to be talking with Tom Cook, who was an animator and animated a bunch of stuff. The video for Eastside Mags is pre-recorded. So I'm going to play it, and you guys can watch the whole thing. You can't ask any actual questions to the store owner, but he has his contact info there. And if you ask any questions right now, I'll be happy to answer whatever I can. But again, I don't work for the store. I don't have knowledge of what's in their stock. You can always contact them. So why don't we begin? And I'll see you in a little bit. All right. Bye. Hello, and welcome to today's first chat of the last day of our Incrediweek, our first Incrediweek. We have another one starting up. And we're taking a virtual tour of a fantastic comic book shop Hey guys, I apologize. I don't know why you couldn't hear anything. I'm gonna play it from where it is, only because of time and to meet up our time. But just so you know, Jeff and I have been talking about how what's the word I'm looking for? How curbside pickup is being used. Has it affected any of their what's the word I'm looking for? Business, not having customers actually coming in? Are you still getting enough curbside pickup? Things like that. Please let me know if the audio is working now. Okay. Whoops. Please let me know if you can hear the audio now. I don't know why this happened on the spider's web too.
Curbside pickup when that happens, or do you have plans
Can you guys hear the audio?
To connect with your customers?
Please let me know.
Yeah, I think we're gonna stick with it.
Okay.
Yeah, it just seems logical.
Yeah, I know it's a really crappy time, and it's hard. One of the things that when me and my business partner, we host a show. We run a show called IncrediCon. When we had to cancel our IncrediCon, we do these IncrediChats that we have now. We bring people in and we talk about stuff. I've been talking with a lot of artists this week, trying to get people familiar with work they may not know because they can't get to comic shops right now. But with comic shops doing curbside pickup and delivery, I want to get the comic shops out to the people as well, so they know, hey, these places are around and you can still get your comic books. That's why I wanted to do this little interview with you here and take a tour of your store. And also what I was curious about before we get into looking at your store, I want to talk to you a little bit about conventions. You are a big con goer in the sense you're a vendor there. You bring tons of books and stuff, and has the lack of con season also hurt what you do, or are you making up?
I think this if a pandemic is sentient, it picked the worst time of the year for comic book stores, just in general, because it's not just the cons that are affected. Free Comic Book Day was also impacted. We're still waiting to find out if Free Comic Book Day is going to be rescheduled and when and stuff like that. But it's also, it's like cons, Free Comic Book Day is also dependent on large crowds. And so the question becomes, when can large crowds get back together? And even when, are people willing to come out and be in a large crowd? Just because the government or the governor says, okay, you guys can gather hundreds of people in one place, no big deal. Are people going to be okay with it? But as a con goer, I do have to shout out all the con organizers who I'm involved with, because they have all done exceptional jobs in clocking the pandemic and clocking what's going on in the world and doing right by us as vendors. There was one con who the venue actually was turned into a hospital during all this. I don't think it's still a hospital now, but definitely during the time that the con would have been going on. And so they were in talks with the venue about maybe postponing till next year. I don't know how those talks are going, but at the end of the day, the con organizer did refund everybody's money. And I said to a buddy of mine, who helps me out at all the conventions, my friend Mike, if they had kept my money and just rolled it into next year, that'd have been fine too. Which ironically is what the other big convention that I do every year did. They gave me the option of either getting a refund or rolling it into next year. And for that one, I rolled it into next year. But they've done a great job as far as recouping money that we stood to make. Probably not. It's probably not. We're probably not going to recoup it. We're probably not going to recoup the money from Free Comic Book Day, even if they do reschedule, only because, there's a concern from people about, being in large groups. So I think at this point, and I hate to say this, like at the end of May, when we're literally just about halfway through the year, with 7 months to go, it's probably just gonna chalk up to a loss at the end of the day, or the end of the year, I should say. I don't think there's a way to do that. Especially without walk-in traffic, especially without being able to get large groups of people or do, we do a ton of signings. And so luckily there were only about 2 signings I had on the books that were supposed to move forward that got impacted and obviously canceled. But it's going to impact our ability to have signings moving forward. And there's a lot now that Diamond's shipping new comics again, there's a lot of great stuff coming out. And it's a shame that we can't get more creators like, like you or the hundreds of others, to come out and make that and feel like it's worthwhile. So,
all right. So, did a little, we talked a little bit about the COVID stuff, which is important because, this does affect other business, not just comic shops. I just want to quickly ask you, is that taco place across the street from you still around?
Oh, yeah. They actually closed for a little bit during the pandemic completely. Even though restaurants could still do takeout and delivery, they closed completely. And then probably about 3 weeks ago, they opened back up for takeout and delivery. And so I've been supporting as many local businesses as possible with this big belly here, and having some delicious tacos while I work in what is now turned into the nicest warehouse I've ever had the pleasure of working at.
So why don't we take a little tour of your store? Why don't you show us a little bit around and tell us about some of the stuff that you have in the store that you particularly like, that you're interested in, some of your favorite stuff.
Well, we're gonna start at the top, and then we're gonna work our way down from there. Okay. And I don't think I can flip this camera.
If you can, cool. If you can't, do your best.
I don't think so. So we're gonna go with this guy right here, our crown jewel, our Hulk 181.
Yeah.
Great CGC graded at an 8.0. But we've got a whole bunch of great wall books, as I hope you guys can see.
Yeah, I saw a nice looking Conan one behind you at one point.
Yeah.
Where is that one? Where you were sitting? Yeah, I don't know what issue or who the artist was. I just that was popping out at me.
Yeah, we've got some classic Conan. We've got our other jewel, which is our Guar store exclusive comic. I can see there's a glare, so unfortunately,
it's okay.
Well, that's the 9.8, so we'll show the 9.8. It's our store exclusive. The cover was drawn by Sean Von Gorman. The comic is written by Matt Miner. It was put out by Dynamite. We did a signing at the time where Sean, Matt, and Taylor Esposito, the letterer, were here. So we have CGC Signature Series slabs. We have raw copies that are signed by them. And then we were at a convention where there were some certain members of the band were there, along with Matt. And we got some that are signed by Sleazy P. Martini, Ballsack, and Sawborg Destructo. And then we've got blank, just plain, just the cover, unsigned copies. But here's a couple others, some cool wall books for you. And then we'll take a little walk over here. We've got our new release wall. Some Marvel Select action figures up top. But this is pretty much, the store's kind of a mess. But we've got
it's okay. I mean, you guys, what, honestly, store, you're not having people come in, but when I come to your store, it is one of the best stores I've ever been in.
That's all. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. We've got a kids corner here, right under our Superman logo. All kids, all ages comics, The way we've set it up, we're very proud of. It's set up just like the regular new release wall. It gives kids the ability to come in and just kind of grab stuff off the wall, whatever they see, whatever they think looks interesting. But parents can feel confident when they come in, when they could come in, to let their kid kind of just pick and choose whatever they wanted. They don't have to worry about content. They don't have to worry about appropriateness. It's all ages appropriate, and kids can feel like big kids, like me, in picking their comics. Up top, we've got some Mezcos, a couple of vintage-ish Marvel action figures, some newer figures in the vintage design, so you can kind of see them side by side. Lord of the Rings, Image, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Mezco, gallery statues, some of the bigger Marvel Legends, some of the Doomsday Clock collectibles. We've also got this cool bookshelf in our kids section that's also full of all ages content. And I'm currently kind of restructuring this little table that we had in the kids section with kids stuff. Just revising the display, making it look a little nicer. Something to do.
I got a quick question for you. I saw your mannequin there. What's he dressed as today? Because sometimes I notice you put them outside the store in like superhero costumes.
Well, this is Boba Fett.
Okay.
And Boba Fett is pretty much Boba Fett all the time. The other mannequin, which is currently in the back since putting him out is almost pointless right now, that has a constantly changing costume base. Yeah. So what I was doing was, whenever a big movie or TV show is coming up, I'd try to get like a cheap $35, $40 costume to throw on it, because it's also outside and the sun beats on it and the rain beats on it, and it gets, I'm not spending hundreds of dollars on a costume for a mannequin, but
Party City type of costume you go for.
Yeah, so some garbage, puffy chested, to make it look like you have a six pack, and
Yeah, I just find that fun. Every time I come to your store, I look to see what's the mannequin dressed as. So
people love it, and every once in a while we get someone who goes, "Oh, we missed the mannequin," and I'm like, "Yeah, we'll get them back out there eventually." Yeah. This is special highlight. This is a stuffed cat that I found in the kids section. It is not ours. It does not belong to us. I did not buy this for the store. It just showed up. But once we had locked our doors for as a non-essential business, and I started doing some cleaning, we found that. So that's our COVID cat. And so COVID cat lives in the store. He's pink and he's cute. And good times. So here's our back issue bins with some stuff on top. Not great. Like I said, we're still kind of a mess, but tons of back issues.
Yeah.
Going back Bronze Age, some Silver Age that's in a little bit more beat up condition. We've got apparel. We've got shirts that I designed and had printed up to promote our store. We've got Pride Month's coming up. So we've got our Pride t-shirt. We've got hoodies and some other t-shirts. These are t-shirts that we did for Batman Day. We call them our Gorilla Batman t-shirts.
Okay.
So what we did was I bought a whole bunch of graffiti spray paint and a whole bunch of blank t-shirts. And one of my employees, whose name is Chris, super artistic, very creative guy, and my oldest running employee, and my right hand. And so Chris was awesome and took a whole bunch of cardboard and made stencils, a Batman logo, Harley Quinn diamonds, the Robin logo. And we let people for $5 come by, and they got to pick their shirt color and size and the color of the paint. And we stood outside all day on Batman Day, spray painting t-shirts, tagging them with people's names, and putting them off to the side. And then so towards the end of the day, we took whatever was left over and just random mixed and matched whatever we could. So we still have those for $5.
That was a fantastic idea.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and I think a lot of people had fun with it. It's just a little different. People got to come by and kind of pick what they wanted, and it was very popular. So we've got more on the spinner rack, some dollar comics. We've got some action figures here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. More action figures. And then our trade paperback section, which is here.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of good stuff.
And that is a large trade paperbacks area.
Yeah, we do. I would say probably 60 to 75% of our business is comic single issues and trade paperbacks. Mm-hmm. We are definitely primarily, first and foremost, a comic book store as opposed to like a gaming store or anything else. We do Dungeons and Dragons. We have a buddy of mine is a great dungeon master, does a lot of homebrew campaigns, awesome. stuff you'll never find printed in any books anywhere. And so he was running Dungeons and Dragons in our store when we could have people in. We've since moved it to the Zoom platform. So those have been wildly popular. Was kind of hoping.
I'm sorry, are you airing them anywhere for like audiences to watch, or is it just, hey, come and hang out with us, like privately?
They're not public to watch, although that's not a bad idea to think about. I'm going to talk to Eric, and we're gonna think about that. But right now, the only people who can watch are the people who are participating. There is a fee. We list all of our Dungeons and Dragons campaigns on our website and our Facebook page.
Okay.
So, you can sign up. I was kind of hoping once we moved to an online platform that we would get participants from other parts of the country, maybe even the world. That hasn't happened yet. Everybody who's signing up has just been the loyal customers and players who have always been a part of it, just playing from home now. But also,
that's fantastic. I mean, you're still keeping all the people kind of together.
Yeah, that was the big thing was we're known for our events, and so the question became, how can we transition those events into something that's as contactless as possible, as pandemic friendly as possible, so that we can keep kids engaged, keep people participating, keep them motivated and into the content without breaking any laws or rules or making anybody feel uncomfortable or I guess implicated or so moving the Dungeons and Dragons campaigns to Zoom was a great thing.
And they can I'm sorry, I just to interrupt, they can find that on your website, right? Information?
Right.
Awesome.
Yep. Right under the events tab at eastsidemags.com or under the events section of our Facebook page. We also do a Saturday morning drawing class. I know you do a lot of instructional stuff for kids too. We're lucky enough to have Bridget Allenson, who's a Kubert School graduate and a graphic designer and a freelance artist herself. Awesome. She teaches our classes here at the store. Again, those classes are taught over Zoom. And again, I was hoping to kind of draw in people from other parts of the country, but that hasn't happened yet either. Yeah. But we've gotten a lot of new students for our classes. We've done some promotional events and stuff like that. So that's actually booming as well. So I've got no complaints there. Those are held through Zoom, and everybody's been very happy with that. But back to the shop a little bit.
Aquaman logo? Just real quick, that was an Aquaman logo, right?
Oh, yeah.
You don't see Aquaman too much in places.
No, DC for a while was doing this cool thing where they had these LED neon type signs, different logos for different characters of theirs. And so I became obsessed with it and had to get one in every design that they were offering. So we've got Aquaman Flash. Let's see if I can figure out. Here we go. We've got the DC logo there. We've got Batman up top.
Yep.
Wonder Woman's behind those action figures in our trade paperback section. And then you've got the Flash all the way over there. So
Fantastic. I love those.
Those are kind of my pride and joys. We offer used DVDs. I know they're used DVDs because they're my DVDs. I was doing some spring cleaning at my house, and I saw these DVDs, and I said, even though paper comics are better than digital movies are something that I'm kind of, into. So having massive bookshelves full of DVDs was not my thing anymore. So I brought them in. They're $5 a piece or less, and we're just trying to blow them out. We've got some cool statues.
The Infinity Gauntlet there.
Yeah, Infinity Gauntlet. We've got some Q-Figs. We've got Killer Frost bombshell statue and a katana statue. We've got this cool Deadpool and Iron Man, if you can see it.
Yeah.
Modeled after the Scotty Young designs.
Yeah, I was going to ask if those were those.
We've got Archie Pops that we kind of gave their own shelf to because they're very cool. And I'm surprised that it took this long to get classic comic book Archie Pops. I feel like the Funko Pop design as a whole is it's just, I would have thought Archie would have been the first property they would have put out, but I guess not. This is my other pride and joy because it's my favorite movie of all time, Back to the Future. We've got the flux capacitor.
That's awesome. You didn't put it in your car?
Not yet. It's been literally this. So the flux capacitor has been here for almost 6 years. It was one of the first things I ever bought when I first opened up the store. So I said, I've got to have high-end collectibles. And so that seemed like something that I totally should have and I'll totally sell. And it's been 6 years. So I have a feeling it'll end up in my kids' room. Maybe it'll be like their nightlight or something.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's here. And then we've got some Funko Pops, some Star Wars. This is very cool. This is, I gotta figure out how to angle this right.
Is that Indy?
Indiana Jones.
Wow, that's nice.
This is 100% custom made.
Cool. Who's the artist who made it?
His name is Mauro Balcazar.
Okay.
He is not a comic book artist, but an artist who does prints and pins and a variety of other things. But he's also a huge movie prop replica collector, and has tons and tons of cool stuff.
Wow, he sounds like someone I'd love to chat with one day.
Oh, his apartment looks like a prop replica museum. He's got cases and shelves with all kinds of cool stuff, from Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters and Hellboy and tons of things. But he also likes to make stuff. So he fashioned that Indiana Jones. I couldn't figure out how to display it as well, but he also made a replica golden idol from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
So although it is the asking price by the artist is $300, it is well worth it. The craftsmanship is amazing, and you get a little tiny golden idol to go with it. So you can reenact your own Raiders of the Lost Ark scenes, and it's very cool.
Wow.
This is our wall of Funkos. Lots of Funko Pop.
The Funkos.
Let's get you guys a little bit of a closer look here.
Spidey. Who's that there?
Hulkbuster.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Tyler Durden from Flight Club.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of Pokemon. Mm-hmm. This whole bottom shelf is all Star Wars pops from Rise of Skywalker and The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they have Mandalorian pops now? I wasn't familiar with that.
Yeah, we have Cara Dune, and then over here that we just got a restock on, we have the ever elusive Child.
Wow.
We have the Child, and these actually just came out. These are the Venom Spider-Man comic book moment pops.
Yeah.
That's very cool. But then we also have
The man.
the Mandalorian himself.
Yeah. I picked up, just to show you real quick. Oh, I picked this up when I was in Florida, so I just keep this. I don't even want to open it. Usually I open my figures, but
Nice.
I want so he's hanging up on my wall right here.
I like that better because we have the Black Series Mandalorian.
Oh, that's
figure,
nice too.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm still debating, since we've been closed and we haven't been selling action figures like we used to, I'm debating whether or not one of them finds its way into my backpack. But also down here, we've got some DC icons.
Great stuff there.
Some Star Wars Black Series.
Mm-hmm.
This was one of my favorites, mostly just because of the packaging. But the Giant Man,
okay,
Marvel Legends figure,
yeah,
where he's just, the way they positioned him, it looks like he's trapped in the box.
Yeah, it's great.
Which I think, I'm not a huge Giant Man guy, but I think it's hilarious that that's the way that they positioned it. And I thought the packaging was great. And then some other Marvel selects, Shang-Chi, who's about to be super popular when that movie gets back into production.
Yeah.
She-Hulk, which may also find its way into my personal collection. And then we've got our dollar comics.
Okay.
Lots of dollar comics. We've been running a special lately. The beauty of the dollar boxes, in my opinion, is the hunt. People come in, they dig through the dollar boxes for an hour, 2, 3, sometimes longer. It's just, you never know what you're going to find. We don't really keep track of specific books that are in our dollar boxes.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, somebody comes up with a stack of comics and you'll find a gem in there. Maybe a $10 or $15 book and you'll get it for $1. And we don't do what I hear some other stores do, which is, this was not supposed to be in there. And, if you find a gem.
So if I take the whole set you have hanging on the wall and put in the dollar bin, I'm okay with that?
Well, those I think we would see before it gets up here. But there have been occasions. I was at a convention I was working, and someone was going through our dollar boxes and found a first appearance of Batwoman.
Wow.
It was a $2 box, but even still, it was like a mint condition first appearance of Batwoman. I brought the box out, I put it on the table, I put the sign on the box that said $2 each. A guy who had been digging in the boxes for a while went through it, found it, and went, "This is first appearance of Batwoman." And I just looked at it, I looked at him, and I went, "I guess you just got like a $50 book for $2 then." Because I'm not trying to be a dick about it. The guy found it fair and square. It's my fault for leaving it in there, and what are you going to do?
I want to ask you a question. I'm sorry to interrupt, but actually, continue, and then I'll ask my question. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, we've got the dollar boxes, but then overhead, we've also got art from local artists. So we don't do a ton of stuff with posters. What I've tried to do that's a little different than a lot of other stores is focus on local artists, girls and guys who are kind of up and coming and are creating stuff but don't really have an outlet for it. And so we sell their stuff on consignment. We work it out so that it's essentially a 50-50 split. Really, it favors the artist more than it favors us because we didn't create anything. We just put it on the shelf. So what we do is, if you're selling a $10 print and it costs you $2 to make it, you get as the artist, you get the $2 back right off the top. And then the other $8 we split 50-50. So it usually comes out to a 60-40, 70-30 split in favor of the artist. But like I said, we didn't really do anything other than make space on the wall for it. So,
and I think that's fantastic that you do that for locals. I mean, not a lot of people have that outlet, like you said. So this is a great place to show work off and get people interested in other people's work. I think that's awesome. Not a lot. I know a lot of stores have work up, but they don't usually do a lot of like consignment for local people. They'll want bigger, better if you will, better comic books or artwork from big names or something. Not a lot do locals. So I think that's.
Growing up, I was a musician. And I guess I still am kind of. I play bass, and so I'd been in a bunch of different bands growing up. And when there were actually CD stores out there and stuff like that, so I know the struggle of being a lesser known or a no name creative out there, and I know how hard it is to get your stuff in front of other people. I remember dropping off demo CDs at record stores, and a lot of record store owners being real big dicks about putting it on their shelves, or throw it in the $5 bin, and if someone buys it, I'll split it with you. And they were just not nice about it.
Yeah.
So it occurred to me that the comic book industry and the art industry is not much different from the music industry in that respect. And so if I could help a lesser named or a lower named artist get their stuff out there, and not be a dick about it, then that would make me do a little bit better than the people before me. Yeah. Also, as much as I love guys like Greg Capullo and Mike Mignola, I really like Mike Allred's stuff. There's a lot of artists big name artists out there whose stuff I love. But at the end of the day, they don't need my help. Greg Capullo is Greg Capullo. It will always be Greg Capullo. And Sean Murphy will always be Sean Murphy. And Mike Allred will always be Mike Allred. But if I can help the next Mike Allred, if I can put something up on my wall and promote it and sell it and help get it out into the world, and then that person, guy or girl, becomes the next big thing, I helped a little bit with that, and it's almost like watching a kid grow up and go out on his own, I guess. My kids are 3 and 2 months old, so I don't know much about grown kids going out into the world, but I want to help the people who need the help. Greg Capullo is, I'm sure, a very nice person. I've never met him personally, but he kind of sells himself, it just, he put his name gets put on something and it moves because people know him and people like his stuff. But if I can help Tim Lowenworth, or Liana Kangas is up here, but she's actually doing really well for herself without our help, so that's kind of a bonus. But we've got Jared Barrow, we've got Mauro Balcazar, we've got Marlene Gomez, we've got a lot of people whose names I'm mentioning that no one's ever heard of, but also, Mike, you might recognize this gentleman. The Janimal.
Yes, the Janimal.
Last time he was on this side of the country. He came by. We got to hang out a little bit, and he was nice enough to gift us with a whole bunch of sketch covers and some prints. I think that's the only one I've got left. His stuff tends to move pretty quick. So this is a temporary fixture for now. But this is my workstation for the kids' comic packs that we've been putting together. So we've realized in the age of COVID that we are not an essential business, but essential businesses could be daycare places that are watching the kids of essential workers. Yeah. So what I decided to do is put together kids' comic packs that we've been selling, but also donating to facilities that are watching the children of essential workers. That's so great. Each kid's comic pack comes with an all ages appropriate comic book, a pencil, 2 worksheets on creating a superhero or a mask that they can color in, and then this is our signature blank comic book. It's got the corner box. It's got a fake barcode on it. And we typically sell these for $4 a piece. They are blank inside, made out of a similar cardstock that you would see on a blank cover DC or Marvel comic. And it's awesome. We use them in our drawing classes, and we also throw one into the kids' comic packs, and kids can sit there and they can draw their own comics and create their own superheroes, their own stories. They can make their own books, and they love them. I just dropped 10 off at a customer's house last night because they bought 4 of them to split between their 2 kids, and the older boy took his little sister's 2 comics because he needed more to create more issues. So he's having a blast with them, and the kids have a blast with them. It's a real great outlet for kids to just be creative and do their own thing.
It's a really good idea.
And we've got our counter display, which kind of goes unnoticed since there's no customers, but Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, little action figures. We've got some records from a local record label. And we've got D&D dice, loose dice, dice sets. We've got hand sanitizer and guar magnets, R magnets, a whole big mess here. We've also got our buttons that I make myself. I bought a button press, and we use damaged comics or comics that need to be destroyed. They get chopped up and turned into buttons. Our guar display, and then we've got some more pins and action figures and stuff like that. And our chalkboard wall, which hasn't been updated since March 18th because we haven't had anybody in the store. So if you're wondering what new comics came out the week of March 18th, I have a full list. I can send you a photo. If for whatever reason you want to know the comics that week. And you know what? Forget it. Let's just show it. This is the mess. I was trying to keep it, keep the mess in the background, but looks like a shipping department threw up in my store. So
but that's what you're doing mostly now anyway, right? So you need to have a place to put the stuff, and no one's in the store right now.
Packaging, materials, scale, envelopes, a couple of bucks that have to get shipped out today. And then last but not least, we've got some minor key and wall book boxes that we put out on the tables for people to pick through. We've got some boxes on the other side of the table with blank comic covers that we typically take to shows where there are artists. We've got some comic sets. If I buy a collection, and we do buy collections, if you've got comics and you're looking to sell, you can contact us through the website. And so we buy collections, and then if we go through and we find that we have all 4 parts of a 4-part miniseries, chances are we'll just keep them bundled together and sell it as a set.
Yeah. I'm just looking. I do have a couple more questions for you. What I want to do for the people who are watching, if you had to, tell people. Well, actually, before I go into that question, the question I wanted to ask you before I want to ask, you mentioned Batwoman. When shows like Flash and Batman and stuff, do they help push up the sales of the books, or are they, how do the shows influence the sales of books for you?
It's not as impactful as it used to be. When I first opened up, that year was the year I believe Guardians of the Galaxy came out. Mm-hmm. And I remember you open a comic book store, you inevitably meet comic book creators. And so Brian Smith, who worked on Stuff of Legend and some SpongeBob stuff, he's got a book, Tree Mail, and a new book coming out called PB&J, I think it's called. It's a P, a bumblebee, and a blue jay that are all friends. And it's called PB&J. I hope I got that right. Maybe not.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. But he lives in North Carolina now, but he lived here in town, literally just a few blocks away from us. And I remember talking to him, and he's somebody who's been in the comics industry for a few decades. And before the movie even came out, we kind of were like, they're making a Guardians of the Galaxy movie? Like, why would you do that? That doesn't even make sense. Like, nobody knows who they are. And that seemed to have been the general consensus. And then the movie came out, and as we all know, through hindsight and, being alive, it exploded, and nobody saw the success of that movie coming. Or maybe the people who worked on it did. I don't know. But I didn't see it. And I went, oh, this is going to be a flop. Nobody knows who these characters are. I've been reading forever, and I don't know who these characters are. Or barely. And it was huge. And I remember being stuck with some dancing Baby Groot figures for a while. If I never hear that Jackson 5 song again, just constantly getting played in the store, little kids hitting the buttons on the Baby Groots. But that was massive. I was new to the business, so I definitely overordered, which is why I got stuck with stuff. But we sold a ton of Groot and Guardian stuff. That was massive. Fast forward to, we'll say 2019, because 2020 has been kind of a bust. Batwoman debuts or Shazam came out, and you get a couple of people. I mean, there's definitely an uptick finally get around to answer your question. You do see, now that the Stargirl show is out, I've gotten a few calls of people looking for Stargirl stuff. But it's not the same. I think people have they're used to the comic book movies and the shows coming out now, so they're not as, I don't know what the word is, like there's less drive for them to like rush out to the comic book store and pick up stuff. But it still exists, it's there. Mostly through younger kids who just don't know anything and they're too much about comics, but their parents might take them to go see Shazam with no prior knowledge, no backstory, no understanding, no nothing, and they just love Shazam. And then all of a sudden you get this one random kid who walks in and knows everything there is to know about Shazam, where you go, oh, I don't even know that much about Shazam. But they've done all their research and they know exactly who Shazam is and his villains and his brothers and sisters and every little thing about Shazam. And you're going, okay, let's find you some Shazam stuff that's appropriate for your age group, and we should go from there.
Actually, I was kind of leading into something I wanted to ask you. You have a nice big kids section. What do you recommend to kids who've never read a comic and they come in? I mean, you don't have to go back to the section, but if you were to say a kid comes in and says, I want to read comics, I'm not really into superheroes, what do you recommend to them? What would be something?
So our recommendations are really based on the person, which is part of what's kind of hurting us here in this new age. But I mean, you've got a ton of stuff out there that's not superhero related, or Simpson. Just looking over there, you've got Dogman, Simpsons, Archie, Lumberjanes, My Little Pony, Stuff of Legend that I mentioned is another one. A lot of kids they might not they'll say they don't like superheroes, but then you show them Sonic the Hedgehog and they go, oh, I play Sonic the Hedgehog all the time, or I know who that is and I saw the movie, and they want that. And I mean, I guess Sonic's kind of a superhero, but it's funny with recommendations. I get a lot of people, even adults, who come in and go, I've never read a comic before, where do I start? And it's like, well, what are you into? And one of the things that we ask people is, can you name, if you were on a desert island with a TV and the TV only would play 3 movies forever, which 3 movies would you want it to play? Your 3 favorite movies of all time. And I would say easily 7 out of 10 times people look at me and go, oh, well, I like the Avengers movies and Star Wars and, Spider-Man. Spider-Man's my favorite. Tom Holland's Spider-Man's so great. And I go, you didn't make this hard. My favorite was the lady who came in and said that her favorite movie of all time was Devil Wears Prada, but she's not here looking for stuff. She's here for her daughter to find stuff. And I went, oh, so you like The Devil Wears Prada with Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep? And she went, oh, you know the movie? And I was like, it's actually low-key one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. And so I showed her a copy of Brian Lee O'Malley's Snot Girl, which is not a superhero. She is a fashionista who has a fashion blog and a group of friends, and it's very housewivesy, slice of life kind of thing, but maybe a little over the top. And I showed it to her, and the next thing I knew, she was like, I'll take volume 1 and volume 2. Like, she couldn't believe that a comic like that existed. And I think the coolest thing about nowadays is, even just to go back to your question, is if a kid comes in and he doesn't like superheroes, it's not like my back's against the wall and I have to sell him on a superhero. There's so much stuff out there about kids being kids, or just funny stuff based off of TV shows or video games, and then of course superhero stuff. But there's such a variety of genres and stuff out there that you really can find something if a store owner or an employee was bold enough to take the time to listen to the customer, listen to what they like, and make the right recommendations. And I tell my guys all the time, don't sell something because I have 50 copies on the shelf. Sell something because you read it, you loved it, and you genuinely think that customer is going to be into it. So
yeah, that's great. I know, God, it's been a while since I've been to your store, but last time I was there, I remember going into like the kids section or like your trade section, and it was a very kid friendly book. And I bought, I think it was Giants Beware, and I think that series is just fantastic. They're doing the Giants Beware. I think it's Dragons Beware or something. Monsters Beware. It's like all these different things. Fantastic stuff for all ages, though. That's like I think everyone can enjoy. And I was thrilled that you had it there.
Jorge Aguirre, who's the writer for that series, is actually a resident here in Montclair.
He was there that day. That's how I picked it up. He came in. I was doing I just finished doing teaching kids to draw, and I was sitting doing a little signing, and then he came in and dropped off books, and I'm like, what are these?
He's a real cool guy. He's got a couple of kids, brings them in. They're funny. I find children of comic creators are always very specific about what they like. They take it from their parents, and they know exactly what they want on the right there, and so Jorge's kids come in and I'm not really looking for Avengers stuff today. I'm looking for something, something funny, and it's okay, let's do it. And, we find them some cool stuff, but yeah, he's a great dude. That's a great all ages series of graphic novels. If anybody out there is looking for something new to read, let's see what else was like a big kid standout recently that we just blew through. The Detective Pikachu graphic novel was a big one. There's a smaller title that it's right on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember what it was, but it'll come back to me.
Okay.
But yeah, Dogman, Amulet, Bone, those are all just classic, all fun, all ages books.
Yeah, I'm sure you get kids coming in looking at things for like Smile and stuff like that, right? Or
the Raina Telgemeier stuff, and and actually there's a girl named Kayla Miller who's kind of on that Raina Telgemeier train, where she's been putting out graphic novels, but she's published. Her stuff is besides here, Barnes and Noble and a lot of bigger chains. And I remember when I first opened up, she came in with a manila envelope pitching her comic called Creep, which was about a kid who gets electric shocked while standing in a puddle of fruit punch and gets superpowers. And so it's all ages. It's funny. It's like kind of Archie-esque type art, and she just had this manila envelope with copies in it, and I was like, well, I've never really done this before. I just opened up, and I was like, I guess I'll take 5 copies from you. And she pulled 5 out of the envelope, and we sold it on the shelf. And then she got a gig with Lion Forge to do some Care Bear stuff, because someone who worked for Lion Forge had been in here and saw her comic and loved it, fell in love with it. And so we've already kind of help some local artists and some local creators, out a little bit, and that's kind of why we do it. We've been successful. We want people who we're involved with to be successful as well. So if we can help pay it forward in any way, we're happy to do it.
Well, I know you're going to be opening in a few minutes, so we're gonna wrap up now. I want to thank you for giving us a tour of your stores, taking your time out of the day to show us the stuff. I don't know if this was a little earlier for you to come in, but I appreciate you doing this. So I'm going to put your eastsidemags.com again, and if you wanted to find you on social media, it's just at eastsidemags, I assume, right? Fantastic Four, located in Montclair. Did I say four or store? I don't know. Fantastic store located in Montclair, New Jersey. Is there anything you want to say before or promote or anything before we go?
Just we talked about the Dungeons and Dragons stuff on Zoom that you can check out on the events page of our website. We have a heading called ESM Universe that has more information about our Dungeons and Dragons and our Learn to Draw Comics class. We're available for curbside pickup and shipping. So if you're in the area and you want a curbside pickup, that's great. If you're not in the area, but you saw something today that you like, or you just want to pick our brains and see what we've got, you can call us at 862-333-4961. There's a contact section on our website if you want to email us. And message us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you use. Chances are we're there. All right. And orders over $50 ship free. So if you don't live in the area, if you break that $50 mark, then you don't have to worry about paying shipping on anything. And if you're not going to call us up or message us or email us to support us, support your whatever comic book shop is most local to you. Small businesses in general need your help right now, not just comic shops, but I'm going to be a little biased and say support your local comic shop, wherever you are. We'll be biased and just focus on our industry as opposed to the greeting cards or stationery or whatever. But yeah, either buy comics from us or buy comics from whoever's local to you, and they'll appreciate it, I guarantee.
All right. Well, thanks again for hanging out and showing us your store. I will be talking with you very soon. As soon as we get able to be opened up again, I do plan to take a trip down there. So
yeah, we definitely want to do something. We can work it out. Maybe we do an event or something, do a little drawing session, or
always good for that.
Whatever, man. Even if we just hang out and drink some coffee and throw some dollar comics around,
I'm totally good for that too. Anything. So we'll definitely be in touch. And thanks again. I hope everyone enjoyed this tour of the store. And please make sure you check out the Eastside Mags in Montclair, New Jersey. All right, everyone.
Thanks for having me, Michael. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. All right. Bye.